pushes you away and then spreads as well.
Oh. The day I learned.
Zealous? Zealous? Not sure.
Okay, goodbye.
I've never tried, so I don't really know how much damage it does. By the looks of it, it's fucking crazy.
Oh. He's gone. Still have my... I'm still 90% of my super. Okay, the Cabal guy just pushed the Bane guy off the map. Yo, this Cabal guy's OP. Some of you may have seen a recent video of mine where I showed off a crazy build where Agriceptor was doing obscene amounts of damage and basically breaking raid bosses. If you don't know what I mean, here's a brief clip.
I don't know if I
Oh
shot
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. God! Yeah, it's pretty bonkers. I'll have that video linked at the end of this one if anyone's curious about that build, but for today, I thought, well, if I can do that to bosses, what about doing it in ad-dense content too? And wouldn't you know it, Agriceptor runs over everything here too. Today we'll be combining two of the most powerful kits currently in Destiny 2 with Agriceptor plus Prismatic Warlock to become an unstoppable, unkillable, crowd control god. The key to this build is going to be obtaining our super as fast as we can while also stacking up on several damage resist buffs and ultimately converting our super into the Catalyst mode version of Agriceptor. For those of you that might not be familiar with Agriceptor's Catalyst, essentially, you hold your reload button when you have a full super, and Agriceptor will then start draining your super in exchange for being able to do significantly more damage with Agers, as well as overflowing your mag with ammo, and allowing you to freeze and shatter enemies on command over and over. The trick here is, normally, Agers will deplete your super pretty quickly and then go back to its former state. However, we're going to circumvent that from happening, at least for an extended amount of time. How are we going to accomplish that, you may ask? Let's go over the kit first, and then I'll explain the loot. Quick editing note from the future, I did want to mention that there's two different variants you can run with this build super-wise. One, you're going to see in the footage, is Storm Trance. The other, I'm going to talk about in the kit section, is going to be Winter's Wrath. The build, in general, is the same thing, but these two do two different things. For Storm Trance, with the artifact mods, you're going to be making Ionic Traces for your elemental pickup, which helps you get your super faster, and synergizes with some of the other artifact mods. For Winter's Wrath, you'll be doing the same things, but the difference will be Facet of Purpose, instead of giving you Bolt Charge, will be giving you Frost Armor stacks, and Frost Armor is there to give you another layer of damage resist on top of everything you're about to hear. So I just want to put that in there before rolling the rest of the footage, and people being like, why are you showing this and talking about that? That's why. There you go. Here's the rest of the video. So for our kit, let's start with the super. My super is actually going to be Winter's Wrath. You might see some footage where I was tweaking around with Storm Trance being the super. I'll explain why in a second here. But we're starting with Winter's Wrath initially because this is going to help us get more damage reduction overall for this build. Its other main purpose is that it's a roaming super, which is very important for this build, for Agers specifically, because essentially Bungie changed the way roaming supers worked, and you get them 3 times faster than other supers in the game. And with the way Agers works, draining your super, that's very helpful because it means it's easier for us to refill our super bar going upwards instead of down for the Catalyst mode portion of the build. But more on that in the loop explanation. Let's just finish with the abilities here. Starting off with abilities and aspects, I have the following. Phoenix Dive, because it's the fastest class ability regen with only 55 seconds over Rifting, which is a minute 22, I believe. It heals me, it gives me Cure, it does the job perfectly. Then we have Arcane Needle. This is specifically here to give us 3 melee charges for one of our aspects, and also be a Darkness debuff if I need it. In our grenade slot, we have Vortex Grenade because it's going to be a weakened grenade thanks to one of the fragments that I have for this build. Then for our aspects, I have Feed the Void and Lightning Surge. Now, the idea with running these two together is that your engine starter for this build is going to be Lightning Surge, which means you're going to slide melee into a group of enemies. When you do that, when you get one single kill, you will proc Devour. But not only that, you're also going to be proccing Amplified because it's going to be arc-based kills, and you're going to kill several enemies, so you become Amplified. When you become Amplified, you get a 15% damage reduction from enemies, and you're also harder to hit. So you have Devour up to keep instantly healing you on every kill that you get from here on, including weapons. Then you have Damage Resist from Amplified, and you're harder to hit. Additionally, it's going to also synergize with one of my fragments, Facet of Dawn, which will make us radiant upon hitting a melee on an enemy or killing them. So, off of Lightning Surge, you get Devour, Amplified, and Radiant. Then when you're Radiant, that's going to buff our weapon damage, which in this case is Agger's Scepter, so it has a free damage boost off of that one initial engine starter. If something happens to be alive after that Lightning Surge, you simply throw your grenade, which is going to be Vortex Grenade, and then weaken them because our second fragment is going to be Facet of Dominance, which turns our Void Grenades into Weaken Grenades. With Facet of Dawn and Dominance out of the way, let's talk about the other 3 fragments. So number 3 is going to be Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage gives you melee energy, and then rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants you grenade energy. So when you use your Lightning Surge or your other 2 weapons, which are going to be light affinity, at least in my case, you will get melee energy so that you always have melees up until you get Transcendence, and then you'll have unlimited melees, obviously. And then for the darkness damage, anytime that you're killing stuff with Aggers, you're rebuilding your grenade energy to get your nade back to weaken any yellow bar target. So it's just a loop of getting your abilities back until you have your super, then you go crazy with Aggers and Transcendence. Fragment 4 is going to be Facet of Purpose. Since we're using Stasis, in this case Winter's Wrath, Facet of Purpose is going to give us Frost Armor anytime we pick up an Aura of Power. And then with Frost Armor, you get Damage Resist. These can also stack up to, 6, 7, 8, etc. So anytime we get orbs, we stack up on more Frost Armor and we get more Damage Resist. So far, just off of doing your Lightning Surge, which will make an Aura of Power, you are getting Amplified for Damage Resist, you are getting Frost Armor for Damage Resist, you're harder to hit, and you're also building Transcendence, which will also give you Damage Resist when you pop it for an additional 12%. And our last fragment is also going to give you damage resist. It's Facet of Protection. When you're surrounded by combatants, like when you slide in with a Lightning Surge, you are more resistant to incoming damage, and when you're in Transcendence, that effect is increased. So at this point, I think you get the idea. You become basically unkillable. And for the artifact mods, I'll just put them at the top of the screen here for you to see if you want to copy it one for one. But the main ones, I'm just going to announce. Overload Trace Rifle in the first column will provide you overload on champions, obviously, but also Exhaust. Exhausted targets deal reduced outgoing damage to you, so it helps you stay alive even more on top of everything else. Next, Beam Medic, which is right next to Overload Trace Rifle. Rapid Trace Rifle Final Blows heal you and your nearby allies. Since Aggers is a Trace Rifle, you can also have an option of healing yourself as you're killing everything. In the third column, we have Disruptor Spike, which improves the effects of Exhaust and Sever, in this case, Exhaust, lowering the target's damage output even further, so even more survivability. Under that, we have Elemental Siphon. Alright, thanks for that, Zavala. Anyway, Elemental Siphon says that rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon or a weapon matching your equipped super makes elemental pickup based off of that. And with the bonus, you get elemental pickups giving you super energy when they are collected. So when you're in Agger's Catalyst mode and you're just murdering everything with Stasis, you just get more super energy back, meaning that you're not going to run out of super energy for the Catalyst mode. Column 4, Dreadful Finisher. Pretty self-explanatory. You finish or something for green ammo to give you more ammo back for Agger's Scepter. Under that, we have Flashover. I'm sure everyone knows what this does, but when you gain maximum stacks of Bolt Charge, you also become Amplified, and Lightning Bolts deal more damage. So technically speaking, you could get stacks of Bolt Charge in this build, so why would you not have Flashover for that bonus damage? And at the bottom of column 4, we have Harsh Refractions. Trace Rifles do more damage to targets affected by elemental debuffs matching that element type. Meaning, in this case, Stasis. When Aggers is in Catalyst mode, it slows and frees and shatters enemies, so it's self-providing that debuff of Stasis to an enemy and giving you bonus damage thanks to that. In the final column, first we have Elemental Supercharger, which states defeating exhausted or severed targets with a weapon matching your super element grants you super energy. So, Aggers makes enemies exhausted, then you kill those enemies, and you get bonus super energy from that. It's perfect. And lastly, Defibrillating Blast. Stunning a champion grants maximum stacks of Bolt Charge, which you can then use with Flashover, and also, it'll heal you. By the way, anything that procs Bolt Charge for you will give you a heal, not just stunning a champion like this mod says. So here's the basic loop of the build that you want to accomplish in any activity. You start off with Lightning Surge, sliding into any group of enemies and then killing them. This will give you Amplified, it'll give you Devour, and it'll give you Radiance. So you get bonus weapon damage, bonus damage resist, and healing on every single kill that you have from here on out. At this point, you use either Siphon mods or Heavy-Handed to get Orbs of Power non-stop. If you have 3 Heavy-Handeds, by the way, you make an orb on every melee kill. It's really helpful. And then other mods will also help you get your super faster that I'll go over in a second. At this point, once you have your super and prismatic, you activate prismatic to get the bonus damage, which is 5%, and the bonus damage resist as well. And then you activate the Agger's Catalyst. From here on out, as long as you have targets to shoot at, your Aggers should steadily keep going upwards instead of downwards. Here is where having a roaming super comes into play. Because roaming supers charge 3 times faster, you can, in theory, keep your Catalyst mode up forever at almost full energy the entire time, meaning Aggers will have the bonus damage, the shattering, etc. the entire duration until you either run out of enemies or you run out of ammo. Lastly, there are mods. Feel free to ask about any of these in the comments below if you don't know them by heart, but for the most part, these are just going to be regen mods or something that helps our super. So for example, my helmet, I have Dynamo, which reduces the super cooldown as well as giving us a chunk of super energy when we class ability near an enemy. Very easy. Arc Siphon's there to make orbs with my other 2 weapons. Font of Wisdom is there to increase my intellect stat, which technically makes me get my super faster. In my gloves, I have 3 copies of Heavy Handed, like I mentioned earlier, so that every melee that I do makes an Aura of Power. The cooldown becomes like 1 second, I believe. Then in my boots, I have Invigoration, Recuperation, and Absolution. One is for bonus healing in case I don't have Devour up, which I shouldn't, but just in case. And the other 2 are for regen purposes. In my chest piece, I have 2 resist mods depending on what activity I do. Maybe this is Void, maybe I put Concussive in there, but then the last slot goes to Stasis Reserves, so I have more ammo for Aggers. And then for my class item, I have Outreach, which is again regen purposes, Special Finisher to get more green ammo if I need it for Aggers, and Distribution to regen both my abilities and my super. And for the perks on my exotic class item, I have Spirit of Necrotic and Spirit of Synthoceps. This makes my melee damage go through the roof, as well as poison enemies that might survive it. I personally like Necrotics, but I know a lot of people out there rather prefer something like Inmost Light or maybe Assassin to be more safe, which is totally fine. It's just personal preference, that's all. Anyway, that's the build. I personally love it, but you can let me know what you think. I will have a dim link down below in the description if you want to try it out on your own. And while you're done, you can follow my other socials as well, too. I have all of them, even the stupid cesspool like Twitter. In the meantime, if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. If you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave Agger Scepter as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.